Model 0 or Model 1, dividends grow at a constant rate of G. That means dividends at T plus 1 equals dividend at T times 1 plus G. Okay. If it's 5% and you had $1 dividend last year, this year you expect $1.05. Next year, $1.10, 25, and so on and so forth. Then value now is going to be next year's expected dividend divided by R minus G, provided R is greater than G. Because otherwise the infinite series does not converge. This is called a growing perpetuity. Model 2, this is also known as the, and we'll do templates for these, but a two-stage growth model. Because sometimes firms grow at a very fast rate eventually, and then kind of go down. Assume that dividends are known for a few years initially, then grow at a constant rate. And value is kind of, suppose they are known for 5 years. So we know D1, D2, D3, D5. And value now is equal to, I'm going to call this PV1 through PV5, where PVT means dividend for that period divided by 1 plus R raised to the power T. Basically, present value of the dividends for the 5 years where we know, plus value at the end of year 5 . So if I have this security, I'm going to get the dividends for the first 5 years. Then at the end of year 5, I still have it, and there should be a value attached to it. But at that point, that stock is going to pay dividends that grow at a constant rate. Okay? And value 5 is simply going to be dividend at period 6 divided by R minus G. I'm basically discounting that value that I will get in 5 years to today. And D6 is going to be known D5 times 1 plus G. It's kind of reducing the problems to things we know how to do. If I have a stock that's going to pay dividends that grow at a constant rate, I know how to value that. Well, I know how to value known set of dividends. I'm just going to add them up. So let's do templates. Let me make a copy of this. Model 1. constant growth. Let's see. Let's say 8%. Uh, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. If you look at the formula, the model works with the next dividend, but sometimes I may tell you what the last dividend was, and you just need to figure out what the next would be given the growth rate. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call it next dividend. I'm going to have this a purple number, intermediate. If this is equal to next, one, otherwise 1 plus the growth rate times this dividend. So if this was last, okay. But if I already told you what next year's dividends is going to be, it's going to use that one. Next dividend divided by discount rate minus growth rate. That's pretty much that straightforward. Of course, for solving some problems, I'm going to have a target value and a difference. You know I was going to do something like this. All right. Okay. Let's apply this. Let's see. Let's look at Coke. They're expected to pay $1.84 in dividends next year. And for Coke, I would use, let's say, 6%. Required rate. In Yahoo, when you hit analysis, they tell you what the analysts are expecting. Dividends are gonna, the company is gonna grow over the next five years, 6%. Okay, let's make this 8%. Actually, let me see. We're gonna find out how to find that later, but 5 plus. Okay, these days, 9.5% is a proper rate. They're expected to grow at a rate of 6% over the next 5 years, which may or may not be true, but we're taking that right now as if That's a growth rate they're gonna repeat until infinity. Given that it says stock should be worth 52.57. What is it worth now? 59.82. Ain't too bad. We can ask different questions. Uh, what would be required rate if 59.82? If I can take the growth rate number seriously, at what required rate I would get the current price, the target value? Again, data, what if analysis, goal seek, make that a 0 by changing the required rate. That's not too unrealistic, actually, in Koch's case, for reasons that I'm not going to get into in this class. But in Finance 301, we would get into that. Or alternatively, if you do believe at 950, what would be the implied growth rate to give you that price? If you believe that growth rate is too much, assuming that you have confidence in that discount rate as a proper discount rate, if that growth rate is too much, that stock is too expensive. Because for that price to be justified, the company must grow really fast. If you don't think that's going to happen, the stock is overvalued. And I'm not sure Coke would even grow 6% over the next 5 years, especially if inflation is going to come down. But that's me. Let's look at a competitor, Pepsi. Dr. Pepper and Keurig merged. Pepsi expected to grow 755. I don't know. We'll see. In any way, in Model 1, it assumes that that growth rate is going to continue until the infinity. Think of it this way. Current expected long-term growth rate of the U.S. economy is about 2 to 2.5%. Over the long term, expected inflation is about 2.25. Even at that, of course, I'm not. Any growth rate that is above 5% is way too much for a company like Coke. It's already an established company. Such companies over the long term cannot easily grow faster than the economy. I mean, if you have reasons to believe they could, sure. But in the absence of anything like that, then what's the proper discount rate?